As we went into 2022, one of the most anticipated games of the year was in fact God of War Ragnarok, and now as we inch closer and closer to the end of the year, one of the more anticipated games of the year, the most anticipated games, if not the most anticipated game of 2022 is still God of War Ragnarok. You can make an argument that across the board, across every single video game that was released in 2022, that's upcoming in 2022, that God of War Ragnarok ranks on top of them all in terms of hype and anticipation. Obviously, we had Elden Ring earlier this year, we had a batch of other pretty big titles, but just in terms of hype and anticipation, God of War Ragnarok is absolutely among the elite of this year, and now we are finally coming up on the release of the game. I think many of us expected to play God of War Ragnarok back in 2021 when the game was initially announced, but better late than never. They took their time. You guys knew the world was crazy, but now we are finally just a few short weeks away from the release of the game, and in this video, I want to highlight all of the information that you need to know about God of War Ragnarok before you buy the game. This includes platforms, different additions, gameplay, content, what to expect out of the game, how much content, so on and so forth. And let's start off with the basics. What platform is the game going to be on? Well, it's not going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, so if you're still rocking a PlayStation 4, you will be able to play God of War Ragnarok no problem. In actuality, you'll be getting the game $10 cheaper as well. It'll be the standard $59.99 on PlayStation 4, while on PlayStation 5, it will be the upgraded, the upper tier $69.99 price point. Now, if you are concerned about the performance that you're going to get out of the PS4 version of the game, just bear in mind that Horizon Forbidden West came out earlier this year, and yes, the game looked fantastic, ran fantastic on the PlayStation 5. The game was perfectly playable on the PlayStation 4 as well, and that was a big budget title. I'd expect something very similar here with God of War Ragnarok. That's just my 2 cents, but based on what we saw out of Horizon and what they could do with the PS4 hardware, I think they're going to do a good job with the God of War performance on PS4 as well. Given that God of War 2018 was also a PS4 title, I think you're going to be fine as far as the game running on the PlayStation 4. Obviously, on the PS5, chances are we are going to get a performance mode and a resolution mode. The resolution mode will be targeting a high 4K resolution at 30 frames per second, while the performance mode will target upscaled 4K at 60 frames per second. This came from a report back in July, so take it for what it is, but that's been standard case with the PlayStation 5 titles. Same can be said with Horizon. Featured something very similar. Now let's talk about the game itself. Obviously, this is a follow-up to God of War 2018. If you have not played God of War 2018, highly recommend you play God of War 2018. God of War is incredibly narrative-driven, and I would say even more so since the 2018 release, and God of War Ragnarok is a direct sequel taking place a few years after 2018. The game's official page notes embark on an epic and heartfelt journey as Kratos and Atreus struggle with holding on and letting go. From Santa Monica Studio comes the sequel to the critically acclaimed God of War 2018. Film winter is well underway. Kratos and Atreus must journey to each of the 9 realms in search of answers as Asgardian forces prepare for a prophesized battle that will end the world. Along the way, they will explore stunning mythical landscapes and face fearsome enemies in the form of the Norse gods and monsters. The threat of Ragnarok grows ever closer. Kratos and Atreus must choose between their own safety and the safety of the realms. This is a continuation of the Norse saga that was introduced in God of War 2018. It was noted that this is also going to be the conclusion of said Norse saga, which I personally find very surprising. The reason being is that these games have had a 5-year development cycle, and they didn't want to spend another 5 years with another game within this Norse arc. I think they can do a lot more with the Norse saga, but Ragnarok's going to be a sizable game, so maybe that a lot more will be covered in God of War Ragnarok. The game continues to note a future unwritten. Atreus seeks knowledge to help him understand the prophecy of Loki. Of course, the ending of God of War 2018 spoke to that, and establish his role in Ragnarok. Kratos must decide whether he will be chained by the fear of repeating his mistakes or break free of his past to be the father Atreus needs. Of course, if you played 2018, the same thing can be said here in God of War Ragnarok. The relationship between father and son, Kratos and Atreus, is going to be at the heart of the story, and seeing that develop is going to be an integral component of the narrative as we see it unfold throughout the entirety of the game. Obviously, weapons of war here, instruments of war, the Leviathan Axe, Blades of Chaos, and Guardian Shield return alongside a host of new abilities for both Kratos and Atreus. Kratos' deadly Spartan skills will be tested like never before as he battles gods and monsters across 9 realms to protect his family. And again, We got a taste of the realms in God of War 2018. Now that's being expanded a little bit with God of War Ragnarok. Explore vast realms, journey through dangerous and stunning landscapes while facing a wide variety of enemy creatures, monsters, and Norse gods as Kratos and Atreus search for answers. The trailers, cinematics, and gameplay we've seen thus far also do point to the fact that there's a lot of mystery surrounding this story, and I would be very, very cautious as we get closer to November 9th. Online, the spoilers are going to be rife. Eventually, the game is going to get the spoilers online. This is just one of those big budget games, and you guys know the deal with the video games these days, especially some of these Sony titles. A lot of information is being leaked ahead of time, and mystery and intrigue is at an abundance when it comes to God of War Ragnarok, so I would implore you that if you're excited for this game from a storytelling standpoint and you want to go into the game blind and not knowing everything, maybe be a little bit cautious, especially on platforms such as Twitter and other social media platforms where spoilers are going to be pretty rife, but the narrative is obviously going to be a core component of the game. Obviously, the gameplay in God of War 2018 saw a great evolution from the original 3 God of War titles, becoming more of an action RPG. We're going to have the various weapons, we're going to have a bunch of different abilities, and that's going to expand quite a bit, but on top of that, you're going to have your puzzles, you're going to have your platforming sections, and all of those elements, based on what we've seen thus far, look to have been expanded on quite a bit. Also, if you played God of War 2018, you know that comparatively speaking to the other 3 God of War titles, or if you want to include God of War Ascension and the PSP title 6 God of War games, God of War 2018 became a much bigger game in terms of offering content, and it looks like God of War Ragnarok will be expanding on that even more. As noted on Insider Gaming from Tom Henderson, it was noted that God of War Ragnarok is around 40 hours in length. It's understood that the entirety of the experience is around 40 hours, so this is including main story as well as side content. It was also noted that 20 hours are needed to complete the game's main story. Sources have said that around 3.5 hours of that 20 hours will be played in cinematic scenes, with the remaining 16.5 hours being gameplay. On the other side of things, 20 hours of the game is needed to complete all of the additional side quests, with around 19 hours dedicated to gameplay and an additional 1 hour of cinematics. God of War 2018 featured something kind of similar, but Ragnarok does seem to be a little bit lengthier. Obviously, take this as estimates. Some of you guys will complete the game much quicker, others will take their time, maybe play on a harder difficulty, and that playtime is going to be expanded quite a bit. But if you want to know where your $60 or $70 are going as far as hours per dollar of gameplay or something to that effect, use this 40-hour number as a bit of a guideline. On top of that, I do want to give credit to this because this is something that maybe isn't important to a lot of people, but to other people, it's incredibly important. And that's the fact that God of War Ragnarok will be introducing a plethora, a litany of accessibility features as well. As it was originally detailed on the PlayStation blog, the God of War 2018 PC features that were added will be added to God of War Ragnarok as well. You have sprint, auto sprint, you'll sprint while the stick is held and stop when it's released, persistent dot, always on reticle if you need additional focal points to reduce motion sickness, or just want a persistent reminder of the center of the screen. We offer the ability to turn on a center dot in 3 different sizes and 7 different colors. However, on top of that, there's going to be a ton of new improvements to God of War Ragnarok as well. Subtitle and caption improvements. They've invested heavily in improving our subtitle and caption system to allow for even more customization and information. Caption size and caption color. You've got speaker names. You've got captions themselves with expanded sound effect captions. They've added several new ways to understand in-game sound. We've added captions to both cinematics and gameplay to provide a rich understanding of the soundscape of the world. You can also enable captions for critical gameplay information to assist with puzzles and narrative understanding. You've got subtitle and caption background blur, subtitle background retained options from 2018, direction indicator with critical gameplay sounds now having an optional directional indicator which shows the direction a sound is coming from. Text size and icon size can be adjusted as well. Controller remapping, you've got a high contrast mode with activation customization and a color customization included as well. Contrast background customization, you can separately select mid-tone or darkened background contrast levels. Navigation assist, traversal assistance plus adds interaction-based moves like climbs, crawls, and squeeze through. Audio cues as well. It was also noted that in totality, there will be over 60 accessibility features that will be included in God of War Ragnarok. I know to a lot of people, this is incredibly important and, well, makes the game more accessible to a large number of people. So it's nice to see, and this has been something that's been a core component to a lot of PlayStation games. And to give credit, a lot of developers have been going more detail-oriented when it comes to accessibility features and offering more options, so that has been really, really good to see. One final thing I want to note before we talk additions, price point, and everything everything like that. God of War Ragnarok preload and review embargo. The preload looks to be kicking off on November the 2nd. I would imagine the review embargo will be lifted that same day. The PlayStation 4 version of the game is said to be around 90.6 gigabytes. Take that with a grain of salt for now. On PlayStation 5, the majority of games are smaller than their PlayStation 4 counterparts based on efficiently creating those file sizes, so chances are it's going to be smaller on PS5, so bear that in mind, and that's quite nice for those of you that are running the out-of-the-box storage configuration, because that doesn't offer you a lot of storage. Lastly, I do want to note, the game is available to pre-order right now on the PlayStation Store. $59.99, Standard Edition on PS4, Standard Edition on PS5, $69.99. There is a Digital Deluxe Edition, that'll be $79.99. That'll include the game on both platforms, Darkdale Armor, Darkdale Attire, Darkdale Axe Script, Darkdale Blades Handle, a Dark Horse Digital Art Book, official digital soundtrack, and PSN Avatar set for PS4 and PS5. There is a Ragnarok Collector's Edition, that is just the all-in Collector's Edition. It's going to be pretty difficult to get at this stage of the game. But, yeah, it's an over-the-top edition that I imagine most of you are probably gonna, stay away from. And, of course, there is also the limited edition God of War PlayStation 5 controller. Looks like that's sold out mostly everywhere as well. You might be able to walk into a store and pick one up, but eBay is an option as well, secondhand seller. The controller looks pretty good. It was priced at $75, so it was actually not that big of a markup from the regular DualSense controller, which retails at $69.99. But there you go. That is all of the information I wanted to take you guys through God of War Ragnarok. I think for many of you, this is your most anticipated game for the rest of the year, and for a lot of you, maybe your most anticipated game for the entire year altogether. Again, when you go back to the beginning of this year, we had games like Elden Ring, Horizon, Gran Turismo. For some of you guys was probably, something you anticipated. Mileage may vary on how much you enjoyed that game, but nonetheless, a lot of big games came out this year, and even later in the fall, there's other titles like Crisis Core for some people is big, Call of Duty, Gotham Knights, etc., etc., but God of War Ragnarok definitely ranks among the elite in terms of anticipation. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Let me know your hype and anticipation level for God of War Ragnarok. If it's a day one pickup, if it's a wait for a sale, mind you, PlayStation first-party games tend to hold up in price for a very long time, even though Black Friday is right around the corner. I don't think you're going to get God of War Ragnarok discounted anything major, if at all. But that's going to do it for me. All of your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.